Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Dark Library where we talk about Kamen Rider Saber. We are on this week's episode of Saber, episode 32, My Thoughts Crystallized. This is the big debut of Northern Blades, which is what I'm going to call his final form because the full title of that thing is very hard to pronounce, at least for me. So let's talk about the episode in question. So our episode starts off with basically from fallout from last week's episode. Everybody is in the southern base, in the northern base, basically trying to prepare themselves just in case, northern base or anybody plans to attack, especially because, May lost the key last week, so it'll be super duper important for everybody to, be ready just in case. And then Master Logos says, oh, don't worry, I can shatter that barrier anytime I want to. And then he pulls out this freaking arrow, this bow and arrow set that looks really fucking big and is made out of energy so they can CGI it, and just destroys the barrier. Like, it shoots an arrow from the other side of the world to the other side of the world and destroys the barrier so that, his forces, Storios and Zuos, can break into southern base. Northern base, in order to basically raid the place. And so that's the episode, basically. Sophia immediately goes to the power chamber of Northern Base, where this book is. It's sort of like the sealed book room from where Primitive Dragon's book was kept before it became a Wonder Ride book. And it's going to happen again this episode. So basically, Sophia goes there to try and reinforce security. But, if it's too late, everybody's inside already. Because, fucking Reika and Ryuga just walk straight down to me like, hand over your shit or get wrecked. So, Daishinji can't fight because he can't transform. Because, his blade's been sealed. So it's just up to the three of them to defend the base against the four intruders. But Storios is more exploring around today instead of actually fighting. So, it's a good 3-on-3, but then Yuri shows up. Yeah, Yuri comes back and is like, hey, shit's going down. We need to split the fuck up so we can protect all the stuff. So Daishinji, the dude who can't transform, is basically giving everyone shit, like the unused shit, to go off and try to keep them from the others. That doesn't really work out, as we'll see at the end of the episode. And so, it's up to everyone who can fight to actually fight. And so everyone breaks up. So, Rintaro goes off with Buster to try to get out the Megado, while Toma and Yuri deal with Durandal right now. And that's going to be interesting because apparently, for some reason, Toma figured out a way to see through time, or at least Ryuga's skipped time. I'm just like, holy shit, you've already did you awaken Golden Experience to keep the JoJo's jokes going? The JoJo jokes. Anyway, again, a lot of this episode is basically just fight scenes. So, they do that. Meanwhile, Zuos is basically doing what Legiel did when he was about to die, and just goes off trying to find the Swordsman of Water because, he has to get his revenge for his embarrassing defeat last week. Exactly like Legiel did. Like, he even has a new powered up form, which is inverted colors. Again, like Legiel. So we already know this is his end, so they're getting rid of another general very quick. They're getting rid of another general. At least another Megado general. So, they're all doing that. And Toma and Yuri are fighting Durandal. And they're losing because they can't see through Durandal's skipped time. And then Toma, for some reason, can start seeing it. And so he comes up with a plan to, hit Durandal. And that gets resolved at the end of the episode. But in the meantime, the bulk of the episode's focused on Rintaro, who Zuos jumps him. Just like pumps the fuck out of nowhere, jumps him. And kicks his ass because he's in a new powered up form. And basically Buster shows up and says, hey, get to Sophia and everyone else. I'll handle Zuos. And so he pushes him outside of the building like this is fucking Dragon Ball or something. It doesn't work, though. He gets his ass kicked and is basically dragged around unconscious by him for the rest of the episode. And yeah, he is just out. Like, Yuri needs to give him the healing hands after this episode. So, that happens with apparently the physically strongest member of the group, and apparently also the most experienced member of the group, too. So he's out in both ways, because as we find out later, Reika steals his sword after he gets his ass kicked. So, she also manages to catch up with Daishinji and Mei, and so she steals his sword and all the Wonder Right books he was carrying. And I'll get back to that at the end about where is what right now. So they're all their shit's gone, and so it's just Rentaro, the stand-in. He's literally the only person left who can actually fight against Zuos, who's in the chamber, basically playing the wreck shit and kill everybody there. So he fights, gets his ass kicked again, says he wants to fight for his friends and family, the people he cares about most, because he's still going a little bit through the angst of the whole betrayal of the organization that he's been going through for the past 2 episodes, which is fair. It is fair. And then the book that's Northern Base's power source responds to him and gives him a new Wonder Ride book. And to quickly speak on this Wonder Ride book, it's the chunkiest Wonder Ride book we've had yet. I think maybe Prince of the Dragon might be a little bit bigger than it with the Elemental Dragon added on. But, as just the book itself, without any extra books added onto it, it's probably the thickest Wonder Ride book. Because it doesn't even go sideways like the other ones. This one you have to do horizontal. This one you have to do vertical, not horizontal. It slides into place and it flops open. And it kind of looks awkward hanging there. But at the same time, the Northern Blade suit looks really good. Like, it's a white and blue suit. It looks surprisingly good for what it is. And it also comes jam-packed with, it's a mane, but it's also Super Saiyan 3 levels of hair. I kind of love it. And so, Rentaro uses his new final form, because this is most likely his final form, and fights Zuos. And honestly, it's a very CGI-heavy fight, but it's still a pretty good CGI-heavy fight. Especially because, the main for the suit can do all this stuff. Like, it can turn into a pair of wings so Rentaro can fly. It can turn into, a kind of shark-like fin when he's underwater, which I don't think this power will be very useful in the coming battles. But it is good to see another Kamen Rider who can actually fight in water, because most riders tend to lose immediately when they touch the water. They're like Sonic in most video games, or most of the 3D games. As soon as he's in water, it's game over. So, he has this shark kind of thing. They're not different forms. It's like the main transforms into the stuff. And then, he has his he has his rider kick. And then he kills Zuos. And honestly, it's a rather touching moment, because we see the spirit of his master basically telling him, his master / father figure, basically telling him he's proud of him. And it's a really sweet moment for Rentaro, because Rentaro needs Rentaro's probably the best character in Saber right now. I mean, at least I understand him the best out of every other character in Saber. So, these past 3 episodes where we've just been focused on Rentaro have been the highlight of Saber so far, because, again, Rentaro is the best written character in all of Kamen Rider Saber right now. So, that's good. But while this is a victory for everybody, it's also a bit of a loss, because, again, they stole Daishinji's sword, they stole Ryo's sword, they stole Ogami's sword, Ryo Ogami. They stole the Ikazuchi sword. Wait, is that that Ikazuchi? They stole Espada's sword, because, currently Kento is not Espada. So, someone else is currently Espada. But, again, it's still Kento's sword, even though he's not Espada currently. They have those 3 swords, and then they stole all the auxiliary Wonder Right books that everyone's had. So they have the incomplete combo for Espada. They have both of Daishinji and Ryo's books. They have the King of Arthur book, which I really wish that this book had the super duper importance it was set to have before, but now it's literally just sitting in the corner right now. But seriously, Master Logos could just use this to transform or something. That would honestly be pretty cool. And then they also have the other books for Toma's combo. So if he's not using Elemental Dragon, he can only do base Saber, which that's fucked. They stole this man's shit. So no, they have all of this. So they're basically like just a step away from their ultimate goal. This also means the only person who can use their full combo right now, even if combos were of any importance anymore, is Rintaro, because they don't have any of Rintaro's books. Also, they don't have any of Rin's books because, he is not there. He is on his own with Disaster following him around like a puppy going, "Do you want power?" Not like a puppy, like a bunny cat. Oh, it's also funny because Madoka's a new Madoka movie got announced today. Or yesterday because of when I'm recording. So, yeah. That's kind of fucks. The villains are basically a step away from their goal, but Reika, surprisingly, seems to have grown some bit of a conscience, and I'm a bit sad because it looks like they're going to try to redeem her because, she's wondering about the mission now because she noticed the Megado attacking the base and was told that her group was working with the Megado, and they are, but she doesn't know that because Master Logos is specifically working with Storios, and no one else knows that. And she might be having a crisis of faith right now because of all that. But it doesn't matter because it's Reika, and you basically spent like the past 20 episodes since her first appearance making her the most suspicious person on the planet. And then now you want to go around and be like, oh, she does have some bit of a moral compass or whatever. I was like, guys, she was working fine as just a pure villain. Can we just have her be evil? Or at least be a super fanatic or something? We don't need her developing a conscience and potentially switching sides right now. We don't need that. This isn't like X8 where it was cool to have all the writers work together to fight against, at least all the main writers work together when there was, I cannot talk on tongue-tied, but this isn't like X8 where all the writers were separated at first, or at least driven by their own egos in a bit, and then when they worked together at the end of the series to fight against Kronos, it was a really kick-ass moment. If all the writers in this show work together to fight the final boss, it's going to be a chaotic as hell fight. Like, that's going to be a little too crazy to have on screen at once, so maybe just keep it to, the core trio. Like, you're developing Rintaro and giving him a good character, or at least giving him a good character arc going forward. Toma's still the main character and he's okay. He has his moments. I did like that cute moment where he promised Rintaro that they would defend Northern Base. It was a cute moment that goes back to Toma's whole thing of keeping his promises, and that's still a major character point for him. And Kento, who's out doing being Sasuke right now. It's funny because he's an Uchiha. He's not an Uchiha, but it's funny because he's basically now Sasuke. Or at least a better written version of Sasuke. Shit, does that mean Rin is Sakura? That would explain so much if Rin was just Sakura. But as a boy. I just came upon that revelation, and it's so funnily stupid, and it still works. Oh God. Okay. Back to bigger, more important things instead of dumb jokes or dumb sidetracks. Again, overall, this episode pretty good. Oh, I didn't mention what happened with the Durandal fight. So basically, Toma sees her to skip time and gets a hit on Durandal, which pisses off Durandal because he thinks he's so good. And he's about to unleash his full power or something, but Master Logo says, "Hey, come back. We got what we need. Get the fuck out." And so he leaves, even though he still wants to fight Toma because Toma saw through his skip time. So, yeah, that was the basic plot of the episode. So, how's the episode? Again, I think these last 3 episodes, mainly because they're focused on Rintaro, have been probably some of the better Saber episodes. They've had a clear, concise thing. They focus on one character, not on the whole group all at once. Again, one of Saber's biggest problems is how huge his cast is compared to most other series. In fact, the Megiddo don't even feel that much as big threats. There was like entire stretches of episodes where the Megiddo themselves were barely even present, which I guess worked in the long scheme of their grand plan of making more Ultra Bride books. But it is still a bit weird for them to just not be so much of a presence. But I do like them working at least I like Storios working a bit in the shadows right now and letting Master Logos be the main threat, because it makes him out to be a schemer of a sort, and know how he basically schemed Legiel and Zuos into basically doing his bidding in a way. It also makes me wonder what exactly happened way back when they were originally human, because again, Legiel didn't have any memory of when he was human, and while Zuos didn't get mentioned as Zuos, he probably also was along those same lines. He probably also didn't have any memory of when he was human, which makes me think Storios is the literal snake. Like he's the one who tricked them and made them into the original Megiddo. But we'll find out, hopefully, maybe, because Storios. It feels like Storios is trying to pull. Damn, why am I blanking on names from Build? It looks like he's trying to pull a. He's trying. What was the name? What was the main enemy of Build's name again? I forget. It's been a while since I watched Build. Let me look it up. But it's like he's trying to pull what one of those. Like he's just like he starts off as a big villain, kind of fades around to the background for a bit, and then he comes back later as a much bigger threat to take up the main villain role. Like, it feels like he's trying to pull out one of those like Bloodstark did. Like, I remember Bloodstark, but I can't remember what his actual name was. Evil. Oh, why can't I not remember Evil? I actually really liked Evil. Yeah, it looks like he's trying to pull an Evil. It'd also be funny if he also becomes a Kamen Rider like Evil did. Like Gavulsa did. It'd also be funny if he becomes a Kamen Rider. I doubt that, because he doesn't have he does have a sword, but I don't know if he'll get like a Kamen Rider sword, because Master Logos in the trailer for next week, he's going to be fighting with different swords, but he doesn't transform. It also makes me wonder, is Master Logos human? Because, he had that whole slime mouth thing in the last episode, so it makes me wonder if he's human. Also, something someone pointed out to me is that Master Logos' actor is Shuriken Gold from Shinkenger, or Shuriken Gold from Shinkenger. I didn't watch Shinkenger, so that's a cool reference. I mostly remember Shinkenger from that Decade episode, as well as Power Ranger Samurai, because I never watched Shinkenger. It was cool to see him. I wonder if he'll get like a giant squid monster form, or Theme of Kamen Rider if he gets a transformation. Because that would be honestly pretty cool as a reference to his original role, especially because it's like you're doing a Sentai anniversary season, like right next door, and you have a dude who's paying off reference to Shinkenger with his transformation, so you might as well have another Shinkenger reference in the other show, considering how popular Shinkenger is apparently. I only know that Shinkenger is pretty popular because everyone likes to complain about how Samurai sucks compared to it. But, I might actually have to watch Shinkenger one day. Probably am not going to, but maybe eventually one day. I have to watch Hibiki first. Anyway, overall, pretty good episode. It's probably one of the better series of episodes of Saber. I'm happy this isn't a two-parter, because, honestly, it gets like a two-part episodes in Kamen Rider after a while, especially after you've watched Wizard. I'll talk about that whenever we get to Wizard. But yeah, I've actually really liked these episodes. Northern Blade's like a really cool form. It's gonna get his ass kicked in the next, when Toma gets his new power up. Oh, also, speaking of Toma and power ups, While Zostorios was wandering around Northern Base, he apparently unlocked the hidden door and found a sealed book, which gives off the, oh, there's Toma's final form vibes. But we haven't had any leaks about Toma's final form, so it makes me wonder, considering the fact that, Elemental Dragon has the power of all the elements of the swords, and, we don't have. It makes me wonder what exactly Toma's final form will be in terms of its power set, because we already have the kind of all powers combined in Elemental Dragon. So it makes me wonder what no whatever Toma's final form will be called will be. It also makes me wonder how big will that thing be, because again, the Wonder Ride book for Northern Blades is a chunky boy. It makes me wonder how big the one for Saber's final form is going to be. I mean, it's not like he hasn't had giant books in that thing before, but still. So yeah, overall, fine episode. Part of a really good trilogy of episodes. Next week looks to be interesting. It's going back to the whole Toma Kento Luna thing. And, looks like we might be getting an arc for Kento before we start getting to the finale stuff, because, we're kind of close. We're on episode 32 now. Typically Rider seasons have 50 episodes, and they typically start getting towards the finale in the 40s. And, next week will be 33, so that means we'll have like 7 episodes before we get to the finale stuff. So, pretty cool. The final form does get revealed before the finale stuff, so we might get the next arc focusing on Kento, and after that we'll get the arc for Toma's final form. So yeah, looking forward to next week. Kento's arc could be interesting. I would like to see him come back to the good guys, and I would like for him to explain why Rin is so obsessed with him, because until they explain this, I'm literally just going to keep thinking Ren is Sakura and he's Sasuke right now. So yeah, until next time.